Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of From Page to Stage. I'm your host Wendy Corner and this podcast is for you if you're an entrepreneur. Yes, page and stage come together in entrepreneurship. What do you mean, Wendy? Well, if you are an entrepreneur, you may have a solo book out, you may have a contributory book out, you may have a blog. But I bet you've got socials, haven't you? And what's that if it's not published work? Tick that box. What about the speaky bit? A lot of people go, I can't do the speaking. I cannot do public speaking. No, 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 no. And I go, well, who's your role model? Well, Tony Robbins. He's all this rah-rah, and that's not me at all. You're good. He does him, you do you. If you can have a one-on-one conversation with somebody, you can do a podcast, just like we're doing now. So come and talk to me. Let's have you on the show so that you can share your wonderful wisdom with our audience. Great. Okay, so today, I'm really chuffed. I have the joy and pleasure of introducing you to a good friend of mine, Alison Marsden, who is based in a beautiful part of the world. Not that I'm biased or anything. Alison, tell us a little bit about who you are and how you got to be where you are today.
Hi everyone, I live in Kendal in the Lake District in England, and I came across this place because I was invited to a wedding, but I lived on the south coast of England then. So I was on the beach loving it, and then I came up to the hills and I thought, I want to live here. This is really where I want to live. So it took me a few change of jobs, and then a complete U-turn in my career. And I came up here to train as an Alexander Technique teacher 28 years ago now.
Whoa.
And there's a training course in Kendal, and that was my ticket to actually get me all the way up here. Yeah.
Nice, nice. You mentioned Alexander Technique. Tell us a bit more about the Alexander Technique, because I've heard the term, I know a little bit about it, but our audience may not. Give us a bit of a lowdown, cliff notes on the Alexander Technique.
Yeah, so lots of people have Alexander lessons all over the world for bad backs, to improve their singing, to improve their musical instrument playing. Voice also can help with voice, but it can be any kind of habits that you have. And we talk about you are an instrument, and if you can tune your instrument, then it plays better. So
Nice.
That's what we do as Alexander teachers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Audience, one of the things that Alison has kindly given us is access to a sheet as her free gift to everybody who's listening to this. Go and check the show notes because she gives you a bit of an instruction. Start off your introduction to the Alexander Technique. Thank you so much for that, Alison. Okay, so you left the south coast of England. You migrated north to Kendal in the northwest of England.
Yeah.
And as an Alexander teacher. So you've been teaching Alexander Technique how long now?
For 25 years.
For 25 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Great. Kind of know a thing or two about it then.
Quarter of a century.
Oh, don't think of it like that, please. Sounds awful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm going to ask you, you've got a book out, haven't you? Is it just about the Alexander Technique, or is it wider than that?
No, I had digestive problems as a child.
Okay.
And I also had a passion for cooking, and discovered I had food intolerances with gluten and dairy. So I learned how to make lots of recipes with substitutes.
Okay.
Because in those days, and this was, I don't know, 35 years ago, there wasn't any of this gluten-free aisle or anything like that. Yeah. So I made up loads of recipes. My friends loved it, so I wrote a book about that, but it never got published.
Oh, okay.
I just got it photocopied and gave it to my friends, and inside me I thought, all right, I think I'd like to write a book, but thought I would never have time. I'm dyslexic, I can't write, all these lists of blockages. And basically over the years I had other health issues and addressed those with diet. So I had a skin disorder, had menopausal symptoms and abdominal pain. Addressed them all through diet, and I felt I want to pass this knowledge on to other people. So the real turning point was when I was having a miscarriage. And I actually ended up being rushed to hospital to have a blood transfusion.
Oh, ow.
I know. But the weekend before I was in hospital, I was at a course learning all about the blood, on a reflexology course about the chi energy of blood specifically.
Okay.
And at the beginning of that talk, they had a quote from the Seattle speech. Do you know the Chief Seattle, the Indian, when the Indians had to sell the land to the Americans?
Yes.
And he stood up and made this speech, and he was basically saying, the land's not mine to sell. You know, we no one owns the land. And he said, the rivers and the ocean are the blood of our body. So I thought, well, that's a great quote. And then a few days later, I was in hospital having a blood transfusion. And I thought, oh my God. So I was doing lots of praying. I hope this blood's okay. And I realized when I got home, I wanted to do a detox after the miscarriage. And I learned loads and loads about a detox. That was my first self-learning process, reading lots of books. There wasn't an internet in those days. And I realized if I wanted to detox myself, I had to help other people detox because of that quote.
Yes.
But it didn't really dawn on me until that 10 years later, as I was handing out things to my clients. And eventually someone said, you need to write this in a book, Alison, rather than give us handouts. So then I embarked on that. Yeah, so it took me about 15 years to write it. I started it in my bedroom when I got the kids to sleep in the spare bedroom. They'd scoot them off to bed, and I was on the computer writing. I didn't think I'm writing a book. I just thought I just got to write it down. I just got to get it down, all these ideas and all this journey that I'm going through. So I documented all my recipes. And the first kind of book that I felt was actually a recipe book called Eat to Feel Great. And then from that, I thought, no, I really need to do this other book, which had so many different titles. Yeah. And finally, we got to the title, The Jigsaw Method, Building Balance into Your Diet with the Power of the Moon. So that was the final title.
Sorry, say that again. Building balance into your diet with the power
of the moon.
Of the moon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to have to unpack that a little.
I might have to unpack that, yeah. So when I was having children, so that miscarriage was between my two children who were born.
Okay.
We moved to a house with a garden. I started getting them outside, basically educating them outside as much as possible. And I really got into gardening. And I don't know how I came across biodynamic gardening. So that's gardening with the phases of the moon to optimize your veg production. So I started to do that, and I'd get these huge vegetables. I just thought, this is amazing. And as I started doing this regular detox, I thought, I wonder what it's like if we ate in line with the phases of the moon. Surely there's other phases, just like the planets have these phases. We must have some phases. So I researched that. Again, no internet in those days. So I got loads of books and read loads and loads of books about it and thought, I really want to do this. So I started following the rhythms of my internal organs, which is apparently dictated by the phase of the moon. So you've got a daily pattern, a monthly pattern, and a yearly pattern. Yeah, so everyone knows the monthly pattern, new moon and full moon, but there is a 24-hour pattern. And so
the 24-hour pattern we tend to think of as a circadian rhythm.
Yes, like circadian rhythms. So circadian rhythms are to do mainly with your brain and what's going on there, but you can have rhythms with your kidneys, heart, liver, large colon, spleen, pancreas.
Is this sort of traditional Chinese medicine style?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
So I followed that and thought, oh, this is way too hard to do it in everyday life, because we've got everything back to front. So I thought, what I'm going to do is just do it once a month, just so that my body gets a real reset. And I benefited from it so much. I thought, do you know what? I want to do it twice, so the full moon and a new moon.
Right.
And then I thought, oh, this isn't enough. I want to do it once a week because it's so good. And then as I work with my clients, I realized it's much better if you get into a weekly pattern, at least at the beginning, because then what you're doing is you're aligning yourself to rhythms. And what people do is they get a reset with hardly any effort. And that's what people say. I don't feel as if I'm doing much at all. And yet I feel I've got more energy, I'm sleeping better, my joints aren't painful, and I'm losing weight. And they say, I feel it's really weird because I'm so used to diets being a real strain.
Yes.
Yeah. And so when I realized that other people would benefit from it, I thought, I really got to write this book. So yeah.
When did the book come out?
May last year.
May 2024.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And have you been selling it mostly in Kindle, or have you sold it around the place? Is it on Amazon? Where can you get hold of it?
Yeah, so I worked with some publishers, and they helped me got the manuscript sorted. Unfortunately, those publishers, the directors parted, so I couldn't work with the one that I was working with, and I just was in this suspended area with a great manuscript, but it's still not published. And then I spoke to my friend who works in publishing, and she said, why don't you self-publish it on Amazon? So I decided to do it that route. So I got it on Amazon, and I thought, right now I need to do a book launch. I wasn't having any help with it, no business mentor, no publishers. I did it all on my own. And so I learned loads of mistakes and got lots of bruises, as my Irvin says.
Yes.
I thought, yeah, I really need some help with this. And so I started working with Procubate, which is where I met you, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And that's been really beneficial. So I did my 2 book launches, and I realized very quickly that the way I need to sell it is through much more smaller scale, face to face. So I do cookery demonstrations, I do retreats, I do talks, and I take my book there and sell them there, and then obviously at network meetings.
Right. Okay.
I need to regain.
The fact that it is available on Amazon, because this is a global podcast, we have people looking in from literally across the world. So what you're saying is, even although a lot of the work you do is face to face in the northeast, or beg your pardon, northwest of England, anywhere in the world, somebody can access your book.
Yeah, because I'm also doing an online course,
right?
An online meeting that supports people through the process of going through the book. So they can buy it off Amazon or my website. If they buy it through me, then you automatically get a free entry to the online meetings. But you can buy it off Amazon, and if you want, you can join the online meetings as well. Yeah.
Question for you. Obviously, there's a physical book. Is there a Kindle version as well?
Not yet.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Because some of us have to travel light.
Yeah. Well, the online meeting, the format is that I talk for about 10-15 minutes, and I'm going through the book.
Right.
And what I'm doing is I'm compiling those recordings and put it on my website, and I'm going to start selling that. And that should be available by Christmas. Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good. That'll be an ideal Christmas present, don't you think, audience?
Yeah, so it's an interaction thing. So I say you can implement the book without reading it. So you'll hear me talk for about 50 minutes, but then people ask questions. So
Okay.
you might be asking those questions as you're
And
reading.
you've recorded the Q&A bit as well.
Exactly.
Great,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Okay, so audience, what we're going to do, those of you who don't know, I have what I call dynamic show notes. So what that means is when our guest comes back to me and says, something's coming up, I've got something new, this is new, I go back, change the show notes and do a quick splash on the socials. So watch out, because when Alison gets this stuff published on her website, all these videos, she'll send me the link. I can pop it up on the show notes and you can take it from there. How does that sound?
Great.
Cool.
Good
Cool.
idea.
Okay, so we've talked about what prompted you to start writing. Tell us a bit about your speaking journey.
Speaking journey.
Mm.
I'm dyslexic,
Mhm.
and I struggle with reading. I read very slowly. And we've got all this brilliant facility of listening to podcasts while we're driving, which is what I love doing. I listen to podcasts when I'm cooking, washing up, cleaning the toilet. And so I think that a lot of people would want to listen to it rather than sit and read it.
So are you doing an audio version as well?
Well, that's what this online group meeting is, because it's very practical. It's not something that you would read all the way through, because it follows seasons. So it's autumn at the moment in England. So you'd only be reading the autumn bit, do you see? So you want to be able to flick through. And during the online meetings, I may say, well, this will be really relevant to you, because there's specific headings for certain things. So, for example, how to say no when you really, someone says to you, I made you this cake, or would you like some? And you really want to say, no, I don't. I really don't want to eat that. But you've got to say it in a way where they're not offended. You don't feel as if you're saying no. And so I've got loads of captions with that. So that's one of the things that I put in the book. The other one is called Housekeeping for the Gut.
Oh,
yeah, it's really, so do you see? So the meetings will bring that up at the relevant time,
right,
for that specific thing. So it's not something that you see that you'd read from one end to the other. So it doesn't make sense to just do an audio version of it all, because people want to jump around in the book.
Got you. Okay, well, another question I've got for you then is, as I've said, this is a global podcast. Are the foods that you focus on, are they all local to the UK? Or do you think about some of the more, quotes, exotic things that could be available?
No, it's all UK food. So they would have to make whatever adjustment. But the recipes, they're not sophisticated. They're really, really simple. So because they're so simple, that there will always be an equivalent in the country. Do you see what I mean?
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Because that's one thing that I've discovered in all of my travels, that there are some things that you can get in one country and you go looking for them somewhere else and they go, you want what?
Yeah.
Don't know that one. Or they'll have a different name for it. So lost in translation, oh yes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cute. Okay, so your speaking journey has been around sharing your information about the book.
So going back to speaking, so because I find it difficult to read, I've always wanted to speak it. Yeah. I wrote it because my clients wanted me to write it.
Yeah.
And I knew that it would help them. And I knew that we all need to do this detox. We can't keep separating ourselves. And I've always been doing, I started off by doing workshops and talking about it. So I still do talks on it and things like that. But when I I like to do cookery demonstrations. So it's,
Right.
you see, so there's something that I'm moving around, doing something, and it's very interactive. But then for me to just stand up and just talk about the book, I can have some blank brain moments.
Right.
So I have to go through a process. So my monthly meetings I do, because I'm going through sections of the book. I know the book so well.
Oh, I'm sure.
But I just think, well, I might have a blank moment. So I read through this section that we're going through, I make notes, and then I summarize those notes onto one sheet of A4. And then I write that onto 5 or 6 cards, and that's it. So they're just really quick things, just in case I get a blank moment.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I know some speakers use PowerPoint not to have their points up, but simply to show an image. And that image is enough of a prompt for them to remember what they were going to say, and is something for the audience to look at, but doesn't say all these words, because I'm sure you're aware that we read around 250 words a minute on average, and we speak around 150 words a minute. So for speakers who've got all their text up and then proceed to read it, the audience have read it long before you've got there, and they're starting to think about what's for dinner. You've lost them. So this is something, audience, this is just a giveaway for you as well. If you are doing a presentation and, like Alison, there's that chance that you might forget where you're going, you can always use an image to help you. And because it's an image, the audience have got something to look at, and also you're cementing your words with that image.
Yeah.
So next time they see that image, it's going to bring to mind all those wonderful things that you said.
Yeah. Good idea.
Just a thought. Yeah. Great. So we've spoken about your writing, we've spoken about your speaking. This is this wonderful book you're working on. You mentioned you'd actually got some other recipe books that you've never got to publish yet.
Yeah, that's true. I have.
Oh, so potentially we've got some additional work going on.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got another book, because I do running and apply the Alexander technique with that, and I'm a yoga teacher, so I do yoga on my run in the winter because it's too cold to do yoga outside. I love doing yoga outside. If you run for 5 minutes, you can do a few yoga poses and then run again. And I realized that if I do that, my running form massively improves.
Does it?
And because I'm 60 next year, I want to carry on running until I'm 90. So I don't want to end up having running injuries and then saying I can't run anymore. I'd much rather do shorter runs with best form and be able to keep running till I'm 90. So that's what I'm interested in. Yeah, so I have a book that I think, I could write a book about that. And I've already got the cards and the visuals. So I might be coming here to write that book, Wendy.
Halfway there. I'm more than happy to give you some support with that one. And that's the thing. I mean, audience, if you, like Alison, are dyslexic and you see that as well, that means I can't write. Well, we've all got phones these days, and there's a recording app on your phone. You may or may not have found the voice note ability, but you can record your thoughts. You can then transfer them using something like Otter or various other transcription services. And it will give you, it's not perfect, but it will give you a transcription that you can start with. And then if you need to, give it to the hands of an editor. They can make it much more streamlined for you and iron out those little foibles, which, dear love people with dyslexia, it's easy to make.
Yeah, it's easy to make. Well, that's worth considering, because when I go for a run, and that's how the book was written, the Jigsaw Method of it.
Yes.
Because I go for a walk and have all these ideas, and I just have to come back and write it down.
Yeah.
And the yoga poses that I devised for runners, I drew out, but there are some things that the words that go around it that I haven't actually. Well, I have written some of it down. It's all on my website actually, but hidden away. So
behind the scenes. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, even if you're on a run, and running, walking, in the shower is another place that people often get inspiration. And they're not generally places, well, particularly the shower, that you can actually write something down. The shower's a bit of a tricky one. But if you're out running or out walking, if you have your phone with you, you can just hit record and say a couple of words. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, that's all you need to do. Yeah.
It's enough to, when you get back, to trigger that memory and go, right, that's what it was about.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, if you have those in the middle of the night, sit up in bed moments, I know a lot of people have journals.
Another way how that book was written. I'd be sitting meditating, and then I'd have all these thoughts. I thought, oh, forget the meditation. Let's just get this out and write it down. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how I got housekeeping for the gut, how to say no when they think you're saying yes, those sort of things.
Oh, that's such useful information. Such useful information. So as we're coming on, then we've spoken about your speaking career. We spoke your writing, your speaking, and this wonderful book, and a few more that are coming. Just saying, audience, we're holding you to that. Yeah, we're not putting a timeline on it for it, but we're holding you to it. Then how do you embody your words when you take them from page to stage?
How do I embody them? I think the scary thing is for you to feel it, and when you're on stage, you don't want to feel the feelings, and that's the tricky thing. So it's about really being grounded so that you can feel those feelings and say them rather than just say them.
Yes.
So because the story that I was telling you about with the miscarriage, because I talked about that in my book launch, which is videoed and is on YouTube as well. So I could send you the link for that if you want.
YouTube channel is in the show notes, folks. So do please check her out.
Because my dad also had bowel cancer.
Right.
And there were loads of times when I said, I'm not writing a book anymore. You know, how things go like that, you know. And I had periods where I didn't write anything for about 2 months, and it was so hard to get back to it. And it was like climbing Everest, you know. And in the end, I just say, look, all I have to do is turn the computer on, open the file, and just read that last bit that I wrote. That's all I have to do. I don't have to write anything. That was like my first step after having such a long time and not writing it. But of course, once you get into it, you're in. That's it.
Yeah.
And you know, 2 hours later, and you thought, well, I was just going to read the last paragraph, and here I am 2 hours later.
It's getting past that point of inertia, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And that's the same whether you're writing, whether you're changing your diet, whether you're going for a run, whatever you're doing, is getting that first step that's so vitally important, which is what we're hearing from you are very good at helping us along the road. So thank you.
So going back to page to stage, that when I talk about the journey of the book, because my dad had bowel cancer, and 7 years later he got Alzheimer's, and then 2 years later he died of Alzheimer's. So I would get to a point, you know, very lonely, very low, and not want to write the book anymore. And say it's a waste of time, no one's going to buy it, you know, all those stories. And then I think, do you know what, I really feel my dad's here and he wants to help me write it. And so in order to say that when you're on stage, because it brings out a lot of emotion with your family, you know, with him getting bowel cancer, and then he had to have a stoma, he had to have an operation. All that emotional trauma is really tough. Yeah. And knowing now, I mean, when my dad was first, because he had bowel cancer, and then 7 years later, he started showing signs of dementia, and we got the doctor in. In the days when the doctor came to your house, so it's quite a long time ago now.
Oh, yes.
And because my dad would have blackouts, he'd be totally on board because he's a very intelligent person. And then all of a sudden he'd say something and you think, oh my God, he doesn't even know he's in the room, in the house. And so it's very difficult for the doctor to sort of assess him. But then for a moment, he had the blackout, and I said, there it is, that's my dad. Can you see that he's got no idea where he is? And he said, yeah, see, we'll get him into hospital to do a 2-week assessment. I said, brilliant.
Okay.
And then he turned to me and he said, this is why we can't just cut things out of people, because it creates a bigger problem further down the line. And at that time, I was in my early 30s. So this is nearly 30 years ago. And I thought, oh, that's a strange thing to say. You know, I wasn't writing about, I wasn't an Alexander teacher there, nothing at all. But it stayed with me. And I've realised I'm having to write this book for all those people that want to avoid an operation, yeah, that want to really sort out their gut before it turns into dementia. And they know that now. They know that gut health is really important to your mental health. But 30 years ago, we didn't know that. So that's what I find really difficult to say on stage, because I know that I feel very vulnerable about it. You know, it brings out a lot of emotion. And so I have to really be grounded when I say that. Otherwise, I'll be bawling in tears. Yes.
Yeah. And it's a very good point you raised, actually, Alison, because when I work with speakers who've been through traumatic experiences, and that a lot of them don't want to talk about it for that very reason. And there's a way of languaging it so that you can still convey the emotion without you getting stuck in it.
Exactly.
And I find I really am keen that the speakers that I work with, I consider I have a duty of care to. And we work to be able to say things in such a way that you convey it, but you don't get stuck. And because the thing is, once you get stuck in it, your audience is drawn in with you, and that's not appropriate. You want them to go through that and out the other side.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I'm very keen to support my speakers with, getting the emotion across without getting stuck.
Yeah. Because that's the thing that drives us, the emotion. So you need to express it, but not get stuck in it, and then think, like, what can I do to move forward from it?
Exactly. And if anybody who's watching this, if you are in that situation where you've said, well, I've got a book, or I've got the idea of a book, but I know because I'm not going to have to talk about it, I don't want to, then let's talk. Let me guide you through that thought and how you can approach it down the track. Because when you write a book, when you've got that sort of story to include, there are all sorts of things that the actual writing of the book itself can be cathartic. Definitely suggest that you do it with support and a very large box of tissues.
Exactly. Well, that's what I
through experience.
Yeah. Because when I had to write the acknowledgements, I was like, oh my God, I got to go away and go for a walk and cry my eyes out and then come back, you know. And when I finally got the book published and I had it in my hands, I just thought, my life is totally complete. I'm ready to die. I've left my legacy. It was an amazing experience, and it lasted for about 2 days.
Oh, great.
Bad night, just walking around and just thinking everything is complete. I'm fully satisfied. it's just an amazing experience. But you know, I didn't write that book to get that experience. I never knew I was going to get that experience, but it was an amazing thing. And I remember talking to my friend who helped me publish it on the phone, and she said, now the work really starts.
Yes.
You need to do a book launch.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I need to do a book launch.
You got to talk about it.
But then I, you know, that was in May, and my book launch was in October, so I had a lot of time to, you know,
Got time to work
carry on being on that cloud nine for as long as possible.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, Alison, if we're winding up, have you got any final words of wisdom for us?
Well, my words of wisdom for those who have any health conditions, small steps are the best thing, but small steps, people lose their motivation. And this is why I say, if you do one day a week, choose one day where you can just do those few changes that I suggest in the book, it will make a massive difference to the rest of the week, because you've reset yourself and your body will always want to move towards pleasure and away from pain. And because you feel more energized, you sleep better, your abdominal pain or whatever condition you've got helps subside it. You're motivated to do that small bit. Yeah, and through that you organically make changes in the rest of the week. So that's my one thing that I'd like to say about now for those who are listening, because they're not interested in doing a diet, but they're interested in writing a book. My words for you are just keep writing it, enjoy the process, keep going, and one day you might get a book published, but surround yourself with people that can help you. Don't try and do it on your own.
No.
People like Wendy, she could help you. Keep surrounding yourself with people.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Alison, so much for sharing with us your From Page to Stage.
You're welcome.
For now, everyone, bye from us.
Bye.